It has been a chaotic few days on Parliament Hill. The House of Commons adjourned on Tuesday, but there are calls for the Prime Minister, continued calls for him to step aside.
I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go.
We need to trigger an axe the tax election as soon as possible.
Mr. Trudeau's government is over.
So Trudeau spoke at the Liberal caucus holiday party last night. The Prime Minister saying there that the last couple of days have been not easy, that like most families, his party will find their way through it. The Conservatives and the Bloc are calling for an election. The party who is in a position to help trigger one with a vote of non-confidence is the NDP. So when can Canadians expect to head to the polls? Well, let's bring in NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Listen, you say the Prime Minister has to resign. You said, in fact, that he has to go. He's already said he's not going to do that. And he's shown that very clearly over this last few weeks, or the last few days. So how do you explain to Canadians that while you say you want him out, that he's not good for Canada, but you won't act on that and commit to a vote of non-confidence?
Well, everything's on the table, we've said. But it's been clear, given that we've got the threats of tariffs from Trump, that puts a lot of workers in Canada saying, will I lose my job? We know that people are having a really hard time buying groceries, just the basic essentials.
Sure.
And we got people that are saying, I can't find a home, my bills are up. Given all of that, we've got a Prime Minister that's more focused on fighting his own party than fighting for Canadians. It's clear that he's got to go.
Right. But you're the one who can make that happen. So why not commit to a vote that would see an election in this country?
Well, I've said that everything's on the table. So all options are on the table. What I'm focused on right now is saying he's got to go. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
You know, you're talking about Canadians being concerned about affordability, but the most recent polls show that most of them want an election. So if you have the power to make that happen for Canadians, and you're acting in the best interest of Canadians, isn't that what they actually want?
Well, there's going to be an election this year, 2025
sure,
or next
year.
Sure,
but October is the scheduled date. That's a long way off.
It could happen any time in 2025. We're in a minority government, so we'll keep all options open. But let's be clear, there's going to be an election in 2025. Absolutely guaranteed there will be an election. And people will have a tough choice to make. And I just wanted to say to folks out there who are worried about Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, worried about the cuts, worried that he's going to cut their childcare, their pensions, healthcare, make things way more expensive. For those folks, I want to invite you. We have shown that when we come together, when we organize, when we fight, we can win. So I want to invite people to join us, the NDP.
You know, you've talked about the Conservatives and what they can do, but they are 20 points ahead. You and the Liberals are sitting further back from that. So wouldn't it say to me that what Canadians want is a chance to elect a new government? And you can make that happen. Listen, Peter Julian told CBC News that this could happen in the spring. But why wait? What are you waiting for?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on when it's going to happen. What I am committing to is that in this election, I want folks to know they have a real choice. Even though I know it's a big mountain to climb.
An election before they can make a choice.
There will be an election. There's going to be an election in 2025. But what people have to know is that if things are bad now, things will be even worse under Pierre Poilievre. And I want to make sure people know the cost. And I don't think people know the cost. Like, he's going to cut childcare. That could be $8,000 more a year for families. He wants to cut the child benefit. That's $600 a month that he wants to cut. He wants to cut pensions like Harper did. Pensions for seniors who are already struggling, who already tell me they can't afford their groceries. How are they going to make it by if their pensions are cut? When people are confronted with this, say, you know what? I don't want to vote for a guy who's going to cut my pensions. I'd actually think about that. I don't want to vote for a guy who's going to cut health care at a time when I can barely get the care I need right now.
But why won't you commit to voting non-confidence?
There's going to be an election this year.
I know there's going to be an election. Canadians know it's coming in October. It could be sooner in the spring, but you're the one who can make that happen. So why not commit to making it happen?
It's going to happen. There's nothing to, we don't have to commit to anything. It's going to happen.
Well, why not make it happen sooner? So they come back on the 27th, a week after Trump is in office. The tariffs could be in place by January 21st. Don't Canadians deserve the right to choose a different government sooner rather than later?
Well, I'm going to look at what's in the best interest of Canadians. If there's a vote on the table about retaliatory tariffs to fight back against Trump versus calling an election in the midst of threats to hundreds of thousands of jobs, I want to make a decision that's in the best interest of Canadians. I'm not going to speculate on what that decision is now, but I can tell you what I am saying right now. Trump is a real threat. People are worried about their jobs. Trudeau has to go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speculate about what's going to happen months from now. When that happens, I'll make a decision.
But it's not speculation because you're the one who can tip the power in a non-confidence vote.
Well, speculation about what's in the best interest of Canadians. 2 months from now.
They're saying an election is in our best interest.
But we don't know what's going to happen a month from now. We don't know what we're confronted with. What I can say right now is there's going to be an election in 2025. That is guaranteed. And in that election, I'm fighting and running to become Prime Minister. And people have an important choice. I hear again and again from people, they're not going to give the Liberals another shot. So they've got the Conservatives. and they got me. And I need to define that choice. Well, what's that choice? Well, Pierre Poilievre is going to cut, and that's going to cost you. It's going to cost families. It's going to hurt families. And New Democrats, we want to defend the things that we have. We want to make sure you can afford childcare. We want to make sure you can get a good doctor, you can get healthcare when you need it.
I'm just confused why you won't commit. And you say you don't want to do speculation, but I don't understand the why. What's the downside of you not saying, you know what, this government, repeating what you've said, which is this government has to go.
Yeah.
He needs to be gone. Canadians need a choice. They want to have a choice. You can make that happen. I don't understand the downside for you.
Why would I box myself in and say I'm going to do something definitive when
because
we don't know what's going to happen?
Canadians are saying that's what we want.
No, we're going to wait and see what happens, right? We're going to make sure that we know exactly what's going on. When something is in front of me, when there's a vote in front of me, I'll make a decision. But what I can tell you is that there's going to be an election, and people need to know what's at stake. I want to take on the greedy CEOs that are ripping you off and driving up the cost of your groceries and your homes. Pierre Poilievre wants to let those greedy CEOs rip you off even more. If you're struggling at the groceries right now, imagine Pierre Poilievre who lets his corporate buddies rip you off even more. Or imagine New Democrats who say, let's put in a price cap on your food essentials. We know that big corporations are buying up affordable homes. I want to ban them from doing that. Pierre Poilievre wants to let them do anything that they want, rip you off as much as they want.
Given the amount of times you have said all of those things, both in front of microphones, to cameras, to Canadians, I think they already know. I think that you've laid it out pretty clearly for them what their choices will be. What I don't understand still is, you know, to quote Gwen Stefani, what you waiting for? Like, what's the holdup? Why wouldn't you just trigger an election? Are you not ready? Is your party not ready for an
We're
election?
absolutely ready, but I'm not going to speculate about when that's going to happen. I'm not going to be a pundit and talk about election dates. What I'm going to talk about is what I'm going to do for people.
No, you're a leader. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, but I'm not going to speculate. I don't know what the votes are going to be. I don't know what they're going to be presenting us. So I'm not going to box myself in.
Okay.
But what I can tell people is there will be an election in 2025.
Sure.
And I'm ready to fight it. And people have an important choice to make.
You've said on this program and many times before, this will be a case-by-case basis. What's the case that would see you continue to support them?
Well, like I said, I don't want to speculate on it. But if we've got scenarios
what still
where...
do you need from them? I get what you were getting before from the supply and confidence agreement, dental care, pharmacare, but what do you still need from them that would garner your support and confidence?
Well, here's a concrete scenario. We've got Trump coming in at the end of January, and he's going to impose tariffs. Do we vote on retaliatory tariffs to say, no, we're not going to take that, we're going to fight back, but it's going to cost you? If you think that you can put tariffs on us and get away with no harm, it's going to hurt you. It's going to cost Americans. It's going to raise the cost of items in America. So we've got a choice between a vote on retaliatory tariffs or triggering an election. And what's in the best interest of Canadians? What's in the best interest of hundreds of thousands of workers who say, well, I don't want my jobs to be at risk. I want you to fight back and protect my jobs. I don't know what's going to happen. And so that's why I'm not going to speculate. But what I am going to say is there's going to be an election. And in that election, people will have that choice. New Democrats who want to bring down the cost of your groceries, want to build homes that you can afford. Conservatives who want to let CEOs rip you off even more. That's an important choice.
Last question. Given the mess that we're in right now, what we've seen happen, reading that letter, do you regret not bringing down this government sooner?
No regrets. What I'm focused on is we've delivered for people. We brought in dental care. We brought in pharmacare. A million people in Canada have been able to go to the dentist and fix their teeth because we fought to make that happen. So we're going to keep on fighting for people. A
lot of people would say those two boxes are checked. Time for you to act on what you've been saying all along, that it's time for Trudeau to go.
There's going to be an election.
I know that there is. All right, even grade 11 civics classes know that there's going to be an election.
So
NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh, thank you for coming in today. If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.